Hit it. 4 minutes in. Almost 5 minutes in.
All right, let's do this. Come to me. Shut it. Come to me. Let's go. Okay. It's hard to sit there quietly, isn't it? It's hard for me. It's hard for me. Hello and welcome to Hardly Working Through It, the show after the show, where we take a deep dive into life, love, labor, and everything in between. I'm SP.
And I'm Kelly. And today we're going to be talking about some of the life lessons that we've learned along the way.
That's right. In our 60 cumulative
No.
years of life.
No.
We have lived that much. When you add them together,
Yes.
that's a lot of life experience.
That's right.
And we have lived quite a bit of life in our years.
Yeah.
We'll look back on this when we're 60 and be like, those children really thought they
I don't think that's what we're going to sound like when we're
about.
60.
I've been working on it, so I think I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
I like it. Conflamed. Those got that from Rugrats, I think. All right.
Weird.
We're talking about
Life lessons.
life lessons, best advice, so many things. But you know what we do, at least for 2 more episodes before we hit our new season. We always started off with a couple questions to get to know you, get to know me,
Yes.
all that stuff. And I picked all the questions, but Kelly picked 2 questions today, and I don't know which they are. So I'm just going to cold read it. Before we get into our best advice, quotes to change your life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who is most likely to be a low-key conspiracy theorist?
Me.
No way.
Yeah.
I truly think I would. So tell me why you think it's you.
I think that we're probably on par for this. For those of you that don't know, we love Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, we do.
And we used to be like, yeah, we don't really believe everything that they say. We just like watching it. But I low-key think that we believe pieces.
That's
of
the
what
best part of Ancient Aliens, because you're like, this is so stupid. You believe these guys? He's
I
got a
think
good
it's
point.
real. Yeah. How were the pyramids built? Aliens?
Or Stonehenge.
Yeah, aliens.
Or Chupacabra on the top. What is it called? You know, the ones that you can, the things in the ground that you can only see from space? Tempe Tempe?
No, I know what you're talking about.
Chakata Nanipi Tempe?
Gosh, I feel like I had on the tippity top of
On
my
the
tongue.
tippity tempe of your tongue?
No.
Or those giant H's? Like, those aren't H's.
That's
but...
what I thought you were talking about. I was like, the name of that is
Oh,
Punta
the
Cana.
Nazca lines.
No, not Punta Cana. That's not it. The Nazca line. Punta Cana is
Punta
not it.
Cana.
It's not it. Who am I?
I don't.
But it
For the
is-
record, I don't believe in
it is-
Punta Cana. I'm
it
not
is-
that crazy.
Like Punka.
Puma Punku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it's a
And something tempe, but I can't remember.
But it's the Nazca lines. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the Nazca lines.
that
This is
right?
all truly gibberish if people have never
Yeah.
watched Ancient
Anywho.
Aliens. And I have to say this. There's been no bigger fan that I know of Ancient Aliens in my life than my mother.
She does love Ancient Aliens.
But I realized, since we used to watch that show every night going to sleep, we've seen them all
Multiple times.
multiple times. So I'll bring something up. I'll be like, you know what I'm talking about, Mom? And she'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah, because
like-
you've only seen some of them whenever they're on.
I think she would watch it, whenever they're on
Yeah.
A&E or the History Channel,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
But yeah, I think I like mysteries and like puzzles and stuff like that. So I think I would be more susceptible to conspiracy theories. My problem is that I can think that things are crazy, and so I'll be like, you crazy, but then secretly inside be like, maybe that's true, but maybe never admit it.
It's like file it away for
Yeah, just in case, you know. So-
I think when I read this question initially, I didn't know we were doing it today. When I read it initially, I thought the answer would be me, because I do have a lot of natural skepticism, I think.
Yeah,
And
but you're also very logical, like your mom.
it's true. But sometimes, and this is to my detriment and my mother's, love you, we can be so rational that we can think that the most logical answer is the answer, when it's not always that. It's like when you're so rational where it's like, I figured out that the thing that makes the most sense is that it's this,
Yeah,
but that doesn't necessarily make it true.
yeah. I understand. I think that point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
I think that we both could think that some conspiracy theories are real, but I also think that there are some very crazy conspiracy theories out there
oh yeah,
that I don't know that I could ever buy into.
No,
But yeah,
I saw a long time ago, like the hierarchy of conspiracy theories from like playful to really damaging, because there's very damaging ones.
Yeah.
I like the silly ones. I like the Bigfoots. I like the Loch Ness monsters.
Aliens. I mean, I do think that there's something out there. There's no way there's nothing else in the universe except for us. There's not. It's not possible.
How myopic would you have to be to think that in the billions of galaxies that we're the only people with a podcast?
I don't know. Just about every religion believes that there's only one God and it's their God.
That's because when they all wrote their holy scriptures thousands of years ago, they didn't have things like astronomy to know the galaxies. It was all about making sure you were the most special boy or girl.
That's
and
true.
that your God loved you and defeat your enemies and stuff.
That's true.
But that's not what we're talking about today.
Conspiracy theories.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. Who is most likely to get lost while using GPS? You are.
You are.
I go both ways.
Here's the deal. It's weird. Both of these questions, I think, ultimately come down to each of us in our own right. I am the one who, I will follow my GPS to the T.
She would be one of those people who drives it into the river. She's like, I'm just going to go.
I would not do that. I'm sorry. But I am not good with directions. And when I say directions, I mean like my northeast,
raise
west,
your left hand,
and south.
Good.
I know I can do that. But I'm not good at that. And I don't know, if I'm on the freeway and it's like go towards Sacramento or go towards Los Angeles, I don't know.
That's literally what happened this week.
Yeah, literally GPS, just tell me. Tell me if you want me to go north or south. I think that was when I was going. I have no idea. But don't just say this freeway towards this. I'm like, it's both of them. Like, you have to be more specific and tell me which one, because I don't know, because I'm just not aware. I'm learning, but I don't know. You, on the other hand, don't pay attention to the GPS.
Yeah, my GPS does not have verbal directions. It doesn't say anything because I've turned it off. And I'm usually so invested in the conversation I'm having with the woman I love.
It's just me.
That I want to give her so much of my time, my attention, my affection.
That I'll be like, turn right here. It's right. It's right here. It's right. Turn right. Okay.
I know. Let me finish
Let's just go to the next one. Okay. Now you got to make a U-turn.
Yep. That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
That is literally a clip.
True.
We just played a clip from our car right now.
Yeah, we did.
That's what that was.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah. So who's going to get lost? I mean, truly, it's probably me, because I'm going to be in the car with him telling him where to go.
Yeah. And I don't know if it comes to where we live.
I can get around where we live.
Yeah. And me too. I know it enough. But if we were in the middle of nowhere, I'd be like, although I'd probably be paying more attention.
None of those are life lessons.
Like when we're in New Jersey and we're driving to New York for a gig.
Oh my gosh.
It's I don't know who we even are anymore. Who are we? But you're right. That's not the question, because today is less of a question and more of a prompt. And as we get into it, I'll say this at the end of the episode. Kelly put up a video on our Instagram story this week. Thank you for everybody who answered it. We're like, hey, what do you want to hear more about? What topics and that kind of stuff? A lot of things came up: relationships, sex, religion, family, conflict, lots of different stuff.
But the biggest thing was that they were asking us to be authentic. They want more, not just from us in general. They want more authentic.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever not been authentic.
Yeah.
But yeah, more, I don't know, real day-to-day kind of things. Which, to be fair, we have been talking about more broad topics.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to bring this up. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to be posting more on our story about this specifically. And rather than asking what topics you guys would like to hear about, we're going to ask what specific questions. And it's not necessarily pertaining to us specifically. It could be something that you're going through, or something you're thinking about or working through in your relationship, in your work life, in your personal life, whatever it is. And as we start to get more and more of those questions from people, we'll start to kind of compile them into a certain theme, and we'll start answering those questions. So thank you so much for engaging with that. And I think it'll be a really cool way moving forward with Hardly Working Through It to answer more specific questions, rather than us being like, based on our experiences, what would be fun to talk about. So that'll be really cool. So I'll mention that at the end of the show to remind you to check out our stories, and please do keep sending in your thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. But today is all about, it's been a day. Mm-hmm. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Well, what's some of the best advice, life-changing moments, things in your life that have changed the trajectory of who you are? We've made our lists. Do you want to start with one of yours?
No.
You want me to start with one of mine?
Yeah.
All right.
I can guess it.
No, because then I just go, I picked a different one. Here's one thing that's been really, 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 really important and eye-opening to me. I'm sorry. Were you about to interrupt as I was like, here's the most important thing ever?
Yeah, I was, but I'm not
Tell
gonna.
me.
I was going to say it's weird just jump in like that, but I was going to ask a question before we jumped in to say, when do you think you like the life lessons that are on your list right now?
Mm-hmm.
When do you like between what age range or what part of
Recently.
your life? Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, have you learned most of these? And can you look back now and be like, oh yeah, some of the life lessons that I thought I knew in my 20s, whatever, like, boy, those were stupid. Or
Yeah,
like,
you know, there's
what I mean?
there's a few of those. Had I had that in my mind this week, I probably could have put together some things that I used to think but don't. But I probably talked about this on one of our episodes before. I used to think that any two people could work it out, specifically within the world view and theological background we were in church. It was like if you had two people who were both Christians that had God, like anyone can work it out.
Yeah.
Because God can make anything happen.
Yep.
I don't think that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I lived through a situation where
Where it didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, that doesn't make something truth or reality. It's just my experience. But I no longer think that any two people could work it out, which, as I say it now, being married to someone who I love and is such a wonderful fit in my life.
Feelings mutual.
Oh, thanks. Aw. It's so obvious to be like, most people couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
I don't mean that most relationships can't, but I mean, if you just throw two random people together, why would it work out? There's so much that I wouldn't say needs to be in common, but there's a lot of things that you need to see eye to eye on, even if it's that we won't see eye to eye on everything. You have to have these agreements. You know, things that will make things work. You have to remember that people are individuals, and even the person that you married isn't going to be the same person in 5 years. And you have to understand how they change. And sometimes you change together, sometimes you change separately. But as long as you come back and you still love each other and you're working on it, yes, it can work out. But I digress. BID. What I'm saying is, I no longer think that any two people could work it out, even with Jesus in the mix. I just don't think that. But to answer your other question, a lot of these life lessons have either come up or been solidified within the last 5 to 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
So like somewhere between, I'd say like mid 20s till now. So like the last 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would agree with that. I think so I know this is a weird off topic to ask you that question before you're about to get into like the most important life lesson you've learned. I just thought context is good, but I would agree. I think that in my 20s, I think I probably just thought I had it all figured out. And it's funny, there is one on here, a life lesson that I did learn in my 20s, but has now been reframed. And it like, I'll say this one and then I'll also say, and also you and I talk about it like this now too. But outside of that, I think I was just someone that was like, life lessons, schmife lessons. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Is that pig Latin?
Yeah,
Is it Latin?
It's pig Latin. It's real Latin. No, but like I don't think that I think I was too busy like working and volunteering in my 20s to really have anything that I was learning.
Yeah.
That was important. And I think it's true to say, and I'm sure people in their 20s won't agree with this, but I think when you're in your 20s, like you're still a kid. Mm-hmm. I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. I still feel like a kid sometimes, but I would say we're middle age, as weird as that sounds. Not really with beginning of our middle age, I guess. 40s is middle age, who knows? But like we're still pretty young. I don't know.
That's
still pretty
scary. Okay, great.
We're still pretty young in our life, and so we're still learning stuff. I think it's incredible that we have as many life lessons to walk away with as we do. I talk about this with you often. Is like I feel like you and I have lived multiple lives already.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that'll feel like in 10 years when I'm like, dang, we lived 2 more lives in our 30s or whatever. But
we thought we were so smart.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these life lessons I've learned within the last couple of years with leaving my corporate job and starting my own thing, with losing friends and gaining new friends. I think I was still living a very immature life in my 20s that was just trying to get by.
Sure, yeah.
And didn't necessarily need to know life lessons because I was just like living life by the seat of my pants. Is that the phrase? It's a phrase.
Yeah.
So most of mine are from now, with the exception of one.
That's a longer one, a forever one.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, we'll give context. But I would like you to share yours. But I just wanted to give the context. I wanted to know if any of them were like, yeah, I've carried this with me for 15 years. Or it's like, no. In the last 5 years is when I've really learned these.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely some that have been 15 years in the making. It won't be on this episode.
That's fair.
But there's definitely some firm experiences in beliefs, I guess.
Yeah.
But this one is a bit more recent. One of the big ones for me, as I said, the very biggest, not really, but one of the big realizations and life changers for me was the phrase that when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
It's good.
I saw it said differently online, but similar. It was like when someone, when it was like a paintbrush, and it was like when someone shows you their true colors, believe them.
Yeah.
I think for many reasons, mostly because I'm wired to try to see the best in people and to follow through my commitments, and I'm a very loyal person. It's easy for me to look over red flags or say like, that was weird, but not normal. I can speak from my own dating experience, now being married for a second time and having dated people. There's so many things, and I think anyone who's dated can see this in their exes. It was like, that should have been a red flag. And I just let it continue happening because I was like, it's whatever. Things are, I guess everyone's always like this is normal, whatever it is. But I wish I could have had the perspective when I was younger that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. I think it was Steve Harvey who said, like, don't let a man say they don't love you twice. Like one and done. And I think you should be compassionate and forgiving and understanding with people. But man, when you start to see the things that are red flags, believe those things, because I don't know exactly how to say it.
Just say it.
It would have saved me a lot of heartbreak and hurt and loss had I been less quick to write things off as like, oh, that's just what people go through in relationships. Specifically, like conflict in the way that people treat you in relationships. Had I known like, oh, this is how this person will always be, I could have avoided a lot of terrible nights through college, through after college, even in high school. Like I could have avoided so much had I been, I don't want to say less forgiving, because that's not exactly what it is. But another belief of mine is that I don't believe that people change.
I was going to say that.
At their core, fundamentally. I think people make changes and they can do better and they can grow, but I think people typically are who they are. And if you're listening and you're like, well, there's this person, that's the exception that proves the rule to me. And it doesn't have to be true for you, but I think people are who they are. And if I had looked at it through that lens, it would have saved me a lot of heartbreak. I would have had so many less nights hoping, begging, praying that things would get better. And I would have realized, doesn't make them a bad person, but it does make them bad for me. Just because they act like this with me, that might fly with somebody else, but it's not the life that I need to live. And had I just believed that, had I known like, hey, distance yourself from people when you get that gut feeling of like, this is wrong, this isn't okay, life would have been a lot different for me. And we talked about this with Brooklyn a lot too. For example, she walked by someone in our complex, an older man who smiled at her. And he's a nice guy. It was totally fine. But she looked at me and she was like, that made me uncomfortable. And later on, I would tell her, that guy's actually really nice, nothing to worry about. But what I told her in that moment was like, whenever you feel that way, especially about a man, follow your gut instinct. If it makes you uncomfortable, follow that instinct. Don't write it off. Because I want her to know that stuff too, you know? Is that while your gut's probably not a great indicator of certain things, it's better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that I explained that. I confidently feel like I did not explain that well.
That what people don't change?
No. When someone shows you their real colors, believe them. Or someone shows you their true self, believe them.
I think you did a great job. I maybe help a little bit in that, but I think it's true. I'm probably just going to reiterate what you said, but I do think that's true. I think that people are who they are, and I don't think they can change. I think people can mask who they are, because I think they can learn and they can understand like, oh, this person doesn't respond to this, so I'm going to do this. You said this before, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand, but manipulation can look a lot like love. Yeah. And I think that people are who they are, but they can learn how to make people view them differently, whether that's through manipulation, so they show it like love or whatever. Yeah, I think that's true. I think if you're listening or you're here, when we can look back at relationships and be like, yeah, I maybe had some rose colored glasses on when I was dating that person or friends with that person. And I couldn't necessarily see who they were because initially to me, maybe they were nice and kind and they wanted to help me and they cared about me and all that stuff. But like I heard the way they talked about people behind their back. Well, guess what? That person's probably talking about you that way behind their back now. Like the moment you cross them or the moment you do something bad, they're no longer that. And I think people that are innately not bad, because there are bad people in the world. Yes. But I don't think that everyone is I don't think that people are naturally bad.
Yeah.
I think they're just different and they're not our preference. But I think people that are a certain way are always going to be that way, whether that's like manipulative, a gossiper, mean, like short-tempered. But again, I think they can cover that up.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they can be like, yes, the healthy version of me doesn't yell, but when I get upset, guess what? Or I'm comfortable enough, guess what? I'm going to yell at you.
Yeah. Ooh, that gave me tingles. When I'm comfortable enough to be crappy to you.
Because I think no matter who we are, we're all in the world, there's not very many people that are just who they are all the time. I think that we all have a persona that we put on when we meet people, because of course we want to put our best foot forward. Right. But guess what? The more and more comfortable you get with that person, the more and more of yourself you kind of let show through. You can't change who you are. Mm-hmm. You can grow, you can go to therapy and like have good coping mechanisms for that. Yeah. But you can't change who you fundamentally are. And at your very worst, who you are always comes out.
Yes. And I would say it like this. Like, do you like getting screamed at in arguments?
No.
No. Do you think there's ever going to be a day where you're like, you know what? I used to hate it. Now I love getting screamed at.
No.
That sounds insane.
Yeah.
That to me is the same thing of expecting someone who's screaming at you in an argument to change. It's the same thing. You're not going to start liking it. They're not going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
So to put a bow on, oh gosh, I've never hit the microphone that hard. I think I broke a pinky.
Oh gosh.
Put a bow on this, and then I want to hear yours. Your first one. Specific examples. This might hone in on what I'm talking about more. If you're in a relationship and someone cheats on you, that is who that person is. If you are in a relationship and someone belittles you or screams at you or is verbally abusive, that's probably not a one-off. That is who that person is. If a person is physically harmful to you and hits or throws things at you, that is not a one-off thing. That is a character flaw, and that is who that person is. When someone shows you these big things, believe them. When someone shows you these big things, don't be an idiot. When someone shows you these big things, take the rose-colored glasses off and realize you are in a room with or in a situation or a relationship with a person who is like this. And if that's not what you want, nothing changes unless something changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
It's a good one.
Hit me with yours, Kelster.
I'm trying to think about which one I want to share first, but I think I'm ultimately going to share this one because I think that's what I'm learning a lot right now and what I've had to learn since leaving my 9 to 5 is that you're not for everyone. And that's okay. And you can look at it in a couple different ways. So we can talk about it in like a business aspect, like who I am and what I offer and what I'm doing isn't for everyone. My price range isn't for everybody. And I'm not meant to be for everybody because the moment you try to be for everybody is the moment you stretch yourself too thin and you start to become a person that you're not.
Yeah.
And you start to give away more than maybe you want to give away.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the same in personal relationships too. Like you're not for everybody and you don't have to be. I am, as Taylor Swift would say, a pathological people pleaser. Like that is at the heart of who I am. I'm a helper. I'm a people pleaser. I just want everyone to be happy around me. But I'm not for everyone and I can't be. My flaw is that I want to be for everybody. I want everybody to like me. I want to fulfill everybody's needs, no matter what that is, all of the time. And I'm learning and have had to learn. I keep saying it, that I am not for everybody.
Yeah.
And I guess that goes hand in hand with the other life lesson that I told you in the car that I did here is that I know that I can be too much for people. Like I know that the helper in me and the person that wants to like just give and give can be overwhelming or overbearing for people at times.
Sure.
Not for everybody.
Or
the reaching out to want to hang out or the coming over to our house and let us just serve you can be too much. I don't know if these go hand in hand, but they feel like they do.
I think so, yeah.
But I'm learning that if I'm too much for you, go find less. Because I'm not going to lessen myself for you. I'm not going to become smaller or less than to match whatever you need, because I'm not for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
I'd love to throw in a little thought on the not for everyone thing, because that's something I've had to learn. Everything you just said is true of me as well. One of the people that I listen to so much on podcasts, this is Kevin Smith, who's a director. This time last year, he had a full mental breakdown, went to a mental facility for a month, Sierra Tucson, and had to really work through some stuff.
Dang.
One of the things that he came out with was he was talking with presumably a therapist, and he was explaining all the stuff. And this woman, I assume is a woman, so let's go with it. She says, "What's your favorite ice cream?" And he's like, whatever he says, cookie dough. Oh my God, so good. I love that. It's great. She goes, "What's your least favorite ice cream?" And he goes, "Oh, rum raisin. Oh, why
So
is it?
gross.
It's horrible." She goes, "Rum raisin, that's my favorite ice cream." And she goes, "You will always be someone's rum raisin. You're not for everyone. I love rum raisin. You hate it. You're going to be someone's rum raisin." When I could realize and step back and go like, yeah, I'm not for everybody, and nobody's for everybody, it helps that people pleaser in me to be like, it's okay. It's okay to be someone's rum raisin.
Yeah. I think that's good. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because you don't want a rum raisin in your life.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's why I got a Haagen-Dazs. Am I right? Give me the old Ben and Jerry's. The old fish food.
Yeah.
Americone Dream.
Oh my goodness.
Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Dough.
I know.
I'm just naming
so
all
good.
of our faves.
Those are my faves. But yeah, what's funny is as I look at my life lessons that I wanted to share on today's podcast, I realized while some of them apply to like my work life, a lot of them actually apply to like my personal life and things that I've learned. Because I think this year has been a development of like friends and learning like how to make friends in your 30s and like what it looks like to have good friends. Because in our 20s, I feel like in our 20s and teens, like we make friends based off of location, based off geography.
Yeah, circumstance,
wherever we
lived
are.
Together, close.
We went to school together. Yeah, whatever that is. And I feel like while those friendships can be deep and meaningful at the time, they're the ones that tend to taper off because the only thing you really have in common is the thing that you're actively doing together, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then as what you're doing, you kind of taper off of like what you're doing and you kind of branch out to other things. It's harder to make friends because it's harder to find people that have things in common. And so I think I'm learning all this stuff about that. And I feel like they all kind of go hand in hand. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of taking over.
No, you're good.
Moment. But as we talk about, like, you aren't for everybody, and that's okay. And if I'm too much, go find less.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to make myself less than for you. I'm not going to become less of who I am because I love who I am. And it's taken me a long time to be confident in who I am and know that, yes, I am someone that's going to go out of my way to go pick up your favorite ice cream or to buy you key lime pie because I know that you like it, even though we're trying to eat better, because I love you. Yeah. Like that's who I am. I'm going to make your favorite dish when you're having a tough day or surprise our daughter with something because that's who I am. But if that's too much for you in our friend group, like, go find less. Go find someone else who's not going to do those things, and hopefully that makes you happy.
I think it's awesome.
And in the same breath, we've talked about this on the show, but I'm going to say it again because it's like one of the, I think the most important things I had to learn is that I found that in learning these things, before I learned these things, like I was so bent on trying to keep the friends that I had.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have very many girlfriends. I want to keep the friends that I have. I know that I need good girlfriends. I know that I need just friends in general that I can get out of the house and do stuff with. I know that that's important. So I'm going to keep investing in these people. I'm going to keep reaching out, even if they don't reach out to me. I'm going to keep being hurt when they don't reach out to me. I'm going to send them things. I'm going to offer to do things. I'm going to do more than maybe I need to do because that's who I am, to keep these friends. And I had to ultimately learn that we don't water dead plants.
Yeah.
We don't continue to invest in friendships or in people that are refusing to invest in you back or that are not willing to pursue you. Period.
Yeah.
We don't water dead plants.
Yeah. For me, it's more of a ... at the end because I know my personality type is like, we're not doing that. I'm not going to put myself out there. And then if they text me, I'm like, yeah, when are you available?
Yeah, I hear that. But here's what I'll say to that too, is in the same breath of like, we don't want our dead plants. I think that's very true. Like we don't need to pursue people. And at the same time, there are seasons. Like I can talk about Simone because we'll talk about Simone.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine. She'll be fine with this. But like Simone just had a baby, right? In that season, that was the season where I was giving more. I was reaching out. I was the one who was investing in that because she just had a newborn and she was learning how to be a mom for the first time. She didn't have as much to offer in the same way that like when I was starting my own business and leaving Chick-fil-A, she was reaching out to me more. I didn't have much to give, but she was investing in me. There are seasons when you're confident and solid in relationships where one person might be reaching out more than the other. That doesn't mean that the other person cares less. That means the other person maybe doesn't have as much time or space or capacity to reach out as much, but we're still responding with love and with care and with like I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for doing this. Like, you know that I'm busy. So I think what you're saying is true. We don't want our dead plants. Yes, but I wouldn't say that was a dead that relationship was a dead plant. That was I need a little bit more sunshine in this season and or water. And so you're giving me that. And there's a time when I'm going to do the same with the understanding that like you are dealing with something. The difference is the communication that comes of like, this is a really tough season for me as I'm learning something new or as I'm stepping into something new and I don't have a lot of capacity or a lot to give. Yeah. And the other person being willing to be like, I understand that, but I'm going to meet you where you're at.
Yeah. I think the older you get, the more you understand the seasons of life.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, my dad died when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I was like, I'm the guy who went through something really hard that most people haven't gone through that are my age. And as I get older, Facebook keeps showing me more and more people losing parents. And all of a sudden, it's becoming what used to be such an outlier is becoming more normal. Yeah. So sometimes the years of your life give you a little bit more understanding of the seasons of life.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe people would be more quick to cut people off.
Yeah.
Because they felt like, they weren't investing, but they had a baby. But I've never had a baby. Like, I don't know what that's like or whatever. Yeah. I think the more life experiences, the more experience you have in life, typically the more it broadens you to people's experience and journey and seasons and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. One more thing I wanted to add, it kind of started to get away from us, but your topic was really good. But I wanted to come back when you were talking about
if I'm too much, go find less.
Go find less. Yeah. It kind of bridged well into one of my things. Is it okay that we go into that?
Yeah, I was going to say, hit me with another one.
This is something I started realizing 15-ish years ago and it's come into fruition in its own lately. And it's the idea that you can only be the best version of yourself and not someone else. And that being the best version of you is your superpower. Let me explain. So when I was working at churches, I was young. I was like 18 to 24, 25, 26, I don't know, something like that. And there was people who were maybe 6 years ahead of me and more like my friend Dre, more established, really great at what he does, super charming. Everybody loves him. And I started to, unbeknownst really to myself, try to craft myself to be more like him. Like he's doing it, I'm just going to be more like that.
Yeah.
And that got me pretty far, but I couldn't. Like I could never be Dre. I could just be like the C+ version of Dre because I'm not him.
Yeah.
Fast forward a little bit later, I'm working in entertainment. One of my favorite people in the world is my friend Corey. Corey is mind-blowingly good at what he does, at hosting, DJing, entertaining, all of it. He's been on TV. I think he's Emmy nominated for a TV show that he created and hosted. He's the best guy you're going to see at an event on a microphone. He's incredible.
Unless you're there.
Unless I'm there. No, I'm not even close. But the same pattern started happening where I was like, I got to try to be more like that. And it's funny because when he and I gig together, like we do often do and say the same things at the same time because we are wired a bit like each other, but also I've just watched him over a decade. And I realized at some point, like I can only be the C+ version of Corey. Like I got to find out the way to be the A+ version of myself. And that means not watering down whoever I am to try to be more like someone else, not just the people I know, but like Seacrest or what, like, don't try to be that.
Be yourself.
Learn from them. And so, if I'm too much, even for myself, that I'm trying to change who I am to fit different molds, I've begun to understand that will only get you so far. But at some point, you got to be the full version of yourself because that's the superpower. That's what it is.
Yeah. That's true.
Another life lesson.
Another life lesson. Be yourself. It's your superpower. No, I think that's really good. Honestly, I really, really like that one a lot. Like I said, I think you and I have been learning a lot about who we are and what it means to be us and what it means to be successful as a person and an individual, which ultimately leads into being successful in our businesses. But it's true. Our superpowers are being who we are and choosing to not lessen or water ourselves down, because who we are is, people are attracted to it more than I think we both think sometimes. Like, they're attracted to the type of people that we are. They're attracted, people in everyone's life. So there's people that are going to be attracted to you, not in the romantic sense, but like in the like, man, I want to be around this person. I want to learn from this person. I want to be in their atmosphere because they're doing big things, or they're confident in who they are, or they're accomplished in whatever. Like, people want that.
Yeah.
You want to see more authentic versions of people.
While you cough it out, I'll say this. I think we said it last week. It's the idea of attract, don't chase. Like, if you chase butterflies, they're going to fly away. If you set the table or whatever, to mix metaphors here, to attract, like, that's where it's at. Attract, don't chase. And I think there's a bit, if not a large amount, of chase anytime you're trying to be something other than yourself, whether that's personally or even in your businesses or whatever. Like, I'm just trying to be like this company. If only I could be like this company. You're robbing yourself of joy, and you're belittling who you are because you're saying that person or company or whatever is better than me or what I'm doing. So until I reach that, I won't feel good enough or successful or whatever it is. Yeah. And I find it very damaging on a personal level.
Yeah.
Find out who you are.
Yeah.
and love
be
it,
confident
baby.
in that person. Yeah. You know, don't try to change yourself for other people around you, because it never works. Like we said originally, like, people are who they are.
Some things never change.
That's right. But you are who you are. Yeah. It doesn't change. Like I said, you can find coping mechanisms and you can better yourself by learning and growing. But at the core, you are who you are. Live your life. Be you. You'll attract people that want to be around people like that and that are similar to you.
Yeah, I think that's...
and are passionate about the same things you're passionate about.
I think I sent this to you. There was a clip of this woman who's like, be cringe, be crazy, be you, because that's the only way to get the wrong people out of your life. I don't agree that it's the only way.
Yeah, but it's a big way.
I think it's actually pretty good advice. Is like, be authentically you. If you hate the person you're with or your friend group or whatever, like, either you're that type of person and you just don't know it, or you're, keeping or attracting the people and energy that you don't necessarily want in your life. So be your weird self. Yeah. That's what attracted me to you.
Yeah, I know.
You big weirdo.
Find your weird. That's what we say.
Yeah, we say find the weird that complements your weird. Find the person whose weird complements your weird. Yeah. And we're just a couple of weirdos. What else you got on your list?
So this one is one that I learned when I was younger and kind of took with me and understand more. But I want to talk about this first. That I used to look at people and be like, oh, you're so lucky. Like, you're so lucky that you got to go to the Super Bowl and like work at the Super Bowl. How crazy is that? Or I look at influencers and be like, oh my gosh, they're so lucky. They're going to the Golden Globes, they're going to the Academy Awards, they're going to the People's Choice, whatever. They're so lucky. But I don't think luck is what we think of as luck. Yeah. The way that you and I talk about it is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Right. Because anyone can have an opportunity, but if you haven't done the work to like get there, like, you're probably not going to get that opportunity. If you haven't prepared for that, if you haven't been working hard at whatever it is that thing is, that opportunity is going to go right by you, or you're not even going to be given that opportunity because you haven't put the work in for it. You might want it, but it doesn't matter how bad you want something if you're not actively working towards that thing. Yeah. So the actual phrase is that I have is that what you do in the waiting is just as important as what you're waiting for or what you're working for. Yeah. And I think that's a really great thing. It's like, a lot of us have goals or have dreams or have things that we want to get to. I want to work with Disney. I want to own my own restaurant. I want to be married and have kids. I want to move to a different state. Name it. Anything that you want. I don't know. You name what it is. But I would ask the question, like, what are you doing to get there though? Yeah. Because a lot of people, I think, just sit around and kind of wait. They're like, well, I really, really want this thing. And so I really, really hope that it does that. Or I think the best thing I can talk about right now is social media, because I think everyone's on social media. Like, I think there's so many people on social media that are looking at influencers and being like, I want to be that person. I want to be the person that's going to all these award ceremonies or going to Paris Fashion Week or New York. Like, I want to be that person. So if I just post every day, I'll get there. But why am I not being lucky enough to get there? Yeah. While I think it's like, I don't think luck has anything to do with it. I think it's what you're doing in the waiting is just important. What are you waiting for? And I don't think people understand that there's preparation that goes into that thing. Those influencers didn't just wake up and be like, I'm going to post today, and then all of a sudden get so big. They freaking put the work in. They learned how to work a camera. They tried a bunch of different types of content to figure out what hit. They make different types of content all the time. They're constantly working on their craft, on who they are, on figuring out how to be authentically them. And that's what gets them those opportunities. It's the same in life. It's the same in relationships. Like, if you want to be somewhere, you have to put the right work in. You got to figure out what the right thing is. Because I'm married now, but let's say I want to be married and have kids, but I'm choosing to put the work in at my job, guess what? No man's just going to come around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I want that, I need to put the work in myself to figure out, okay, is there something I need to grow in? I need to be putting the work in to figure out, who do I want to attract, and how am I going to find that person? And I don't think people understand that.
Yeah.
So that was a big life lesson for me, is that what you do in the waiting is just as important as what you're waiting for, but it has to be the right stuff and the right things.
Yeah. You have to be working towards the thing you want.
Yeah.
And as cliche as it is, enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
I pulled this up because I may have mentioned this before, but I want to get the quote right, by one of my favorite modern day philosophers, Jim Carrey. He said, I hope everybody could get rich and famous and will have everything they ever dreamed of, so they will know that it's not the answer. I hate that it's about the journey, but it is. Mm-hmm. The destination is a flickering, fleeting moment of serotonin and dopamine, and then you did it and it's over. It's about finding joy in the process, falling in love with the process that will actually, I think, give genuine happiness and satisfaction. This is not something I'm good at. I don't find a lot of contentment and happiness and peace in the moment. I find that in the journey rather, I'm the happiest on stage. I'm the happiest when I'm doing something. Mm-hmm. I heard Lil Wayne talk about it. He's like, I have to go to bed with the television blaring loud, because it's the only way that I can stop all the lyrics and words that are constantly running through my head. Dang. And for him, he's like, say what you want about his music, but he never writes anything down because he does it off the top of his head. He thinks about it. He goes and he does it. He has to literally look up his own lyrics before shows to remember what the lyrics were, because he's written so much stuff between him and Eminem, some of the most incredible lyrical minds in hip hop, at least. And he can't turn it off. I'm similar that way, that I too am a lyrical hip hop genius. No, but I can't turn it off. Yeah. I can't turn off that. What's the next thing? What's the next business? What's the next opportunity? What's the next gig? And so I struggle with being in the moment, in the process, because I'm only truly happy when I'm doing the thing. Once you're done with the thing, we talked about this, I think, on the last show. Maybe it was before. I don't remember. But that post-adrenal depression, even when you get to the thing, it's really exciting until you're really bummed that, oh my God, it's over. And now what am I striving towards? So if you can't fall in love with the process, or at least be present in the process. Yeah. If the result's the only thing that matters, getting married and having kids. What happens when, I can't tell you how many people I know who got married and couldn't have kids, and that's the only thing that they ever wanted. Yeah. What if you never get to the destination? Yeah. Are you never going to be content? Are you never going to be happy? Yeah. And I'm not here to belittle anybody's trauma or experience or anything. No. Yeah. By any means. But I think life happens in the gray areas, not in the extremes. Yeah. And I think that actual contentment and peace is often found in the moment, in the present, not once I get to the goal. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. I think what you said is really poetic, that life happens in the gray area. And can you find joy and happiness in that gray area, knowing that you might never make it to the destination that you have? Yeah. Okay. Look, I'm never going to be an influencer. Would I like to be? Yeah. Sure. Guys, I'm never going to be that. And that's okay. But I can find joy. I have to be able to find joy
in creating.
Yeah. And know that it's not always about becoming the next influencer that's so popular that everybody like whatever. I have 1 million followers and I have a bunch of brands. What is it?
Deals
and all that stuff.
And then you get there and you're like, oh my God, there's so many expectations,
It's so
corporate
much work,
expectations now. And now they didn't like it. They sent it back. They want another one. All of a sudden, the thing that you wanted is actually the thing that's making you miserable.
Yeah. But look what you said. I may never be an influencer and that's okay. But I have to be able to find joy in creating the content.
Yeah.
Because I want to.
Yeah.
Because I want to create content and I want to be authentically who I am out in the world. And I like showing pieces of myself on my platform, even if 3 people see it.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy
you have joy
that.
in the journey.
But I also have to remember that sometimes because I can get in my head, like only 5 people like this video that I worked hours on making.
Yeah.
But like I enjoyed the process and I need to remember that like it's important that I can find joy in being creative, whether you find joy in that or not.
I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. You and I talk about it a lot, and I keep a list of quotes in here too. Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, I think is what it's called. That was what I was talking to you about. This week, actually. Like the point of making art is to make art.
Yeah.
The way it's received in the world has nothing to do with the creation of that art.
Yeah.
It's nice if people like it, but that's not the point of creating art.
Yeah.
It's about the creation of it and falling in love with the creation of it. It has nothing to do with how people receive it. I cannot find that quote, of course.
That's
but this was another one that I had put on my list that has a lot to do with what you're talking about, whether it's falling in love with the journey or creating for the sake of creating, or if whatever it is that you want to be or you're striving to be but trying to make it to, but it's hard. This is something that I learned years ago that helped me, and it's don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy to see these people like you were talking about. There's an influencer at the Super Bowl. Why can't I do that? I post 3 videos every single day. Why? It's because you haven't seen all the stuff that they've done for years and years and years and years and years. Don't compare their middle to your beginning because you're never going to win that. So whether it's a personal thing like getting married or getting the right job or whatever, or whether it's professional thing like becoming an influencer or changing your career, whatever, don't look at other people and let them steal your joy. This is cliche, but it is true that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And truth is, if you're watching someone and you're envious of that person, it's not their beginning. If you're seeing them and you want what they have, it is not their beginning.
Yeah.
It's their middle, if not maybe over their hill. So don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle because you're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah. I think that's so true. I think it's hard. It's easier to say than it is to actually do.
For sure.
For sure. But it is a good reminder that like we're all just at different parts of the journey and that's okay. And like it is true about running your own race as much as I hate that term. Like it's not about looking to the people on the right or the left of you, but like you are running your own race.
Yeah.
And you should only really be competing with yourself.
You know me, girl. I think that's the only competition there is.
Yeah.
And what's meant for you will likely get to you, and put those blinders on. Seriously.
Yeah.
You're not competing with anybody except for the person you were the day before.
Yep.
That's it. Keep getting better. Keep growing. Keep hardly working.
Yeah, there you go.
Is there anything, like I said, I know there's going to be a multiple part series because I've got a list that could fill up an entire book.
I know.
Is there anything that you wanted to make sure that we got on this episode?
There's only one more thing. I think it's because I talked a lot about like making friends and like learning all that stuff. I think the hardest thing I had to learn, because I feel like I am someone that is an includer. I like to include everybody into what I'm doing. And I realize that not everyone is that way. And it's easy for me to feel left out because I'm such a giver and I'm a person that I think through people and I think through things. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Sorry,
totally.
You were looking at me. I was but I think I am someone that does like think through everyone and how they're going to feel and how it's going to make them feel. And my feelings were getting hurt a lot. And I had to realize, and it changed my life. It was hard to do, but I think it was something that you told me or that we heard together, but it's not really like an easy thing that you can just put into like a sentence, but it's this thought that if you weren't a part of the original plan, then you weren't a part of it in the first place and you should just not do it. Mm-hmm. Like if your friends are planning something or if someone invites you to something later because they realize, oh, I forgot to invite this person, like respectively decline.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, if you go, you're just going to feel like an afterthought the entire time. You're going to feel like you were never meant to be there. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but it's because you weren't supposed to be there. You weren't a part of the initial plan. They didn't want you there. And that's okay.
Yeah. I think there's certain situations I would disagree with there.
Yes.
But I do think that's true. Let me give an example. You're hanging out with people and you're like, what are you doing later? And they're like, oh, I'm going to so-and-so's thing. And you're like, so-and-so's having a thing? And they're like, oh, I assumed you'd be there. Oh my gosh, they would totally want you there. I'm going to text them right now. Yes. They're like, of course I want Kellie there. That is more of the situation where it's like, it's okay. Don't need to be there. Actually, I'm busy tonight. I think those are the situations where it's like that. Because I'm always going to, as you probably are, going to be like, I wasn't a part of the original invite list for a reason. And I'm only getting invited because I stumbled into it on accident.
Yeah.
I think if you get a last minute call like, hey, I'm going to the Dodger game. My friend just got sick. Do you want to go? Go to the game.
That's very different, though.
But I do want to clarify.
Yeah, that's different. Things like, yes, being invited to last minute things. This is another one, but like it's all about the hang.
That's a huge one,
right?
Yeah.
And
we
so,
can
like,
talk about that another time.
Yeah, so sometimes you're going to get invited to things last minute that were, I would say, ticketed things or things that like only a few people could come to because there's only so much space and someone can't come anymore. Oh, we wanted to invite someone, but we couldn't because we didn't have space. Let's invite them now. I think that's very different than when we're talking about friend groups and we're saying like, oh, this group of friends planned something, but didn't invite you, and you happen to find out about it. And they're like, oh yeah, of course they want, like what we said, of course come. It's like, no, you weren't a part of the original plan.
If it was, of course, I would have gotten the text.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's okay to be like, oh, you know what? No. Oh man, you guys go have so much fun. It's going to hurt in the moment. You're going to feel like crap.
You're going to feel not thought of. But it's kind of what you were talking about earlier, Kel. It's like, don't dim your light for other people. Like if I'm too much, like find something that's less. And like you talked about, you're not for everyone. None of us are for everybody. So if you weren't a part of the original thing, like that's okay. But read the tea leaves and look at the signs. You don't have to do it in a bitter way. I know it's tough, but it's
tea,
like,
so it's bitter already. Just
there
kidding.
You go. But if like you weren't on the list, that's okay.
It's okay.
And maybe that's one of those things where you're like, okay, I'm just going to note that. And I'm going to see what's over here. Maybe I'm going to see, whatever. So I'm going to keep being who I am because listen, if you keep being the best version of yourself, the right people will find you, especially in this day and age of the internet.
Yeah. And I do want to say this because I did live through this. I mean, again, I say this a lot, but at the top of this podcast, I believe the very first episode I said, it's really hard to find friends in your 30s. Mm-hmm. And I have many days where I cried at home with you because I just felt like I feel so left out. I don't have any friends. I don't have anyone that's like me in my life. And I had to learn the hard way that like, I had to learn the hard way how to be comfortable with who I am and to be confident in who I was as a person and how the way that I love people and the way that I show love and the way that I like encourage and support people and how loud I am because I know I'm a loud person in everything. I'm loud in the way I talk. I'm loud in the way I love. I'm loud in the way I do events and do things. Like I'm all out. When we're friends, I'm all in. I'm all in.
That's true.
With whatever it is. And I had to learn that I don't need to lessen who I am or make myself less than just to make people like me because those weren't my people. And I know that now because of the people that I've found who are exactly like me, who are loud, who are all in, who are those people that are going to go crazy and go do the most crazy fun things, but also give everything they have.
And who are wonderful and kind.
And I wouldn't trade them for the world. And I'm so grateful that I chose to say, you know what, I'm going to be exactly who I am. I'm not going to change myself to fit in with this friend group that I think I need to be a part of. Because who I'm friends with now, they're my people. They're my people. They're there when I'm having tough days. They're there when I'm having happy days. We go out and do crazy things and have so much fun. I can be exactly who I am. I can drink too much or eat too much or whatever I want. It doesn't matter. And they still love me and accept me. And they're probably going to do the exact same thing because we are the same type of people. Yeah. And it's my people. And we like the same things and we don't like the same things. I don't know how to say that any better, but like they just are my people. And so if you are struggling with this concept of like, man, I feel left out or like, man, I didn't get invited to that party again, it's okay. because you don't want to be friends with them anyway, because they're probably boring and they probably don't fit your weird and they probably don't fit who you are, but your people will come along.
And if you have found yourself in that situation recently where there was an event that you didn't get invited to, yeah, so did we, like 3 times within the last 3 months.
And that's okay.
Yeah, we're all still fine.
I'm happier.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of an obligation anyway. So live your life. And if you weren't as much of everything you just described, then I probably wouldn't have been as attracted to you as I am. So
thanks, babe.
it's like what I said. It's your superpower. Honestly, like I'm in love with all of the wild weirdness that is you.
Thanks,
and all
babe.
of the wonderful, kind, compassionate, sympathetic, empathetic, thoughtful, helping, caring parts of you too.
Thanks, babe.
But if you had dimmed who you were, I don't know that I would have been able to see you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for seeing me.
Thanks for being seen. Let's wrap it up. Like I said at the top of the episode, be on the lookout on our Instagram, Hardly Working Insta. We're going to start putting stuff up. We'll try to do it a couple times this week, a couple times next week. Just start getting your questions for season. I don't know if it's 4 or 5. Depends on how we count it. Season 4, I guess. This season's going on forever.
Yeah.
Next week, we got our 50th episode. If you want to send anything in, any shout outs, anything like that, feel free to do that as well.
And we're going to be talking about...
On Hardly Working Through It.
Yeah.
Did I mentioned this at the top? It'll be the first episode of next week instead of the second episode.
Yeah.
But what is our topic, Kelly, for next week?
It's on your notes.
Well, then I'll pull it up because I was so invested in what we were
might
talking
change
about
it up
today.
now. It's our 50th episode.
I know, right? Well,
not gonna tell you what it is.
That'll be our 49th episode. The 50th will be Hardly Working at the end of the week.
So we're talking about...
Got it. You want me to say it?
Yeah.
Is social media destroying our lives?
So we're talking about social media destroying our lives. That's good.
Answer. Yes.
But we'll dive into that more next week. Until then, don't dim your light. And don't forget
to spend most of your time
hardly working.
Did I save you there?
Yeah, I was like, and don't forget to hardly working.
And don't forget to eat more chicken.
Oh my goodness.
I love you.
I love you too.
And we love you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.